Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Life Musings with Dr. Padmaja Nandigama. Today, I have with me a special guest, Dr. Prasad Kaipa. Dr. Kaipa is a coach, advisor, and co founder of Institute of Indic Wisdom. He is a thought leader in the areas of wisdom leadership, innovation and design, Indian models of leadership, innovation, and mindsets. He has served on the board of International Leadership Association, Git Pro, Yoga Bharati, and Sanskrita Bharati, USA. He has 27 years of experience in CEO coaching, leadership development, and executive education. He worked individually with 130 CEOs, board members, and executive team members, and over 30K executives through seminars, workshops, and courses. He has co authored critically acclaimed an international bestseller, From Smart to Wise Acting and Leading with Wisdom. As stated in his LinkedIn profile, his life purpose is to bring Indian Vedantic knowledge into management theory and practice. He believes Indian wisdom can contribute to change management, leadership development, employee engagement, and motivation in addition to general management. As we can see that Dr. Kaipa is a wealth of knowledge and information, and I'm really excitedly looking forward to talking with him on this podcast. Good evening, Dr. Kaipa.
Good evening, Dr. Padmaja. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I'm very thankful for you to agree to come on to this podcast and share your knowledge with us. So
My pleasure.
without much ado, I would like to start off, get on the business and start off with some serious questions about life purpose. Today, we decided to talk about life purpose. So, very interesting topic for
Yeah,
me at least. Yeah,
for me too.
yes, yeah. So I read a recent article which you wrote on LinkedIn, and I was really intrigued by your analysis and your input. So for our audience sake, so I would like to ask you a few questions on life purpose, and then we can discuss on that.
Sure
So
thing.
yeah, so what do you say? Like what is the true nature of life purpose?
The true nature of life purpose essentially is about aligning one's own essence, one's own authentic self, and contributing meaningfully to the world around us. So, from a Indic perspective, if I were to call, there is a phrase called Swadharma. That means our unique duty that arises from our inherent qualities and tendencies and our relationship with the world. So, at some level, if I were to say connect it to what is already out there, I would say um, purpose transcends the self actualization that Abraham Maslow talked about. It aligns a little bit more with self transcendent, a concept that Abraham Maslow later added, where the focus pretty much shifts from fulfilling one's own potential to serving others and contributing to a larger whole. So, in that respect, if I were to summarize, purpose is both personal and universal. It is deeply tied to who we are and our individuality, while also contributing to a greater, shall I say, a cosmic order.
Ah, nice. Yeah. So, and my question is like, is there a particular age at which we could, decipher our life purpose or start to learning about our life purpose?
No, I think uh, pretty much even when we are very young, we can start looking at what is our life purpose, even though that word itself may not mean till we have some questions or we have some life experiences that challenge the way in which we are living. So I would say probably teenage is a good age, because teenage is when they start seeing the emptiness, when they start living for themselves, and when they see the meaning and meaninglessness of what they are doing and what other people are doing. So that's a good age to start.
Yeah, and then how do we know what our life purpose is? Like, say for example, if a person is kind of interested in many aspects, so how do they know which channel they should be following to discover their life purpose?
I think it's a journey of both self reflection and experimentation. I think that's what it takes to discover the life purpose. So it starts by exploring, first of all, some things like what brings us happiness and joy. The true joy that is not coming from acquiring something from outside, but experiencing a sense of joy which comes from within.
Mm,
And in addition to that, you can also talk about where do my talents and my capabilities really lie? Where are my strengths? Where am I excelling when compared to other people?
mm,
And finally, how can I serve the world with my talents and with what gives me joy? In Japan, they talk about a ikigai framework.
right.
To a certain extent, it's a good idea to think about starting with a ikigai purpose,
Hmm.
ikigai approach,
Right.
and then we can deeply go into swadharma. And once you know your passion, mission, profession, vocation, and all that,
Mm,
then certain amount of swadhyaya, the self study, which requires or which emphasizes introspection and self awareness.
right.
Once you do some of those, then uh, through some reflections of past experiencing, listening to what your inner voice and inner prompt say, like that's what we call it, right?
Right.
Intuition guide us towards meaningful purpose and meaningful actions. And finally, it becomes very important to experiment with small steps like volunteering or
Mm,
engaging new projects that we have sometimes no interest, but that's what universe is bringing it to us, and learning from them and failures. And finally, most important, to know our life purpose, look for what resonates with you, because ultimately if it doesn't resonate,
mhm.
chances are it is not your purpose.
Right. Yes. Very, very well said. So, I think what you're saying is one should be aware of what their strengths are, understand their inner feelings, and also you experience that being in the zone kind of a feeling,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi talks about being in the flow
Right.
or in the zone. Yeah, those are important things connecting to the purpose.
Right, right. I mean, in my profession, which is like I'm a teacher by profession. So in my profession, I see that many students are like directionless. Having too many options also sometimes confuse them. Right, like what do I do? Which way do I go? Like, so many students say, I don't know. I'm undeclared.
Right.
Even just for major. So can one have more than one purpose?
Sure. You
Right.
can have more than one purpose. And as a matter of fact, it is natural to have more than one purpose,
Right.
because purpose is not a unidimensional, it is a multidimensional, because it reflects the diverse roles that uh, we live and the context of our lives, different contexts that we operate from.
Mhm.
So, for example, some people may find purpose in their work.
Right.
Uh, some other people may find in their family or community service.
Mhm.
And find that simultaneously also.
Right.
So, for example, the Indic philosophy talks about purusharthas,
Mm.
dharma, which is like one's duty and what is right, and the artha, how to acquire resources for living a happy life,
Mhm.
kama, how to fulfill our passions and desires, and finally, the liberation that we call moksha,
Mhm.
that highlights this multifaceted approach
Mhm.
because each of them, like a dharma, emphasizes responsibilities.
Mhm.
Artha and kama represents material and emotional fulfillment,
Mm.
whereas moksha points to transcendence.
Right.
So you might think about it like in the Western frameworks that
Mhm.
we talk about, it aligns with the idea of life domains.
Right.
In positive psychology, we talk about fulfillment can arise from different areas of life, like career, relationships, personal growth.
Right.
Like that, we can have more than one purpose.
Sure. Very, very nice. So, when you said that we experience this purpose in different ways,
Mm.
can I ask you if you can share a personal moment when you felt most aligned with your purpose?
Good question.
Uh,
Let's see. Um, I think in very recently,
Right.
in 2019 February, about 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a program uh, which I had been doing for almost 13 years or 14 years. So I
Mm-hmm.
use 3 times a year a
Mm-hmm.
program discovering your personal DNA
Mm-hmm.
and it and a transformational leadership for
Mm-hmm.
very like a business unit heads and
Mm-hmm.
companies and some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and during that process, I normally work with somebody from Arvind Eye Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
which is a famous eye hospital which works by a completely different set of rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to the videotape
Mm-hmm.
where the founder, who actually was an eye doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and in his one very touching moment with
Mm-hmm.
an old who is basically what you call making uh, it- ends meet, if you want to call.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks her, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do? you know
Mm-hmm.
what choices can you make a decision about this or this or this?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, you know I came to you with the trust.
Mm.
You just tell me what is appropriate for me.
Right.
He said, Amma, the choices I make may not be the right choices for you.
Right.
And he says, Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
if I can trust you,
Mm-hmm.
whom can I trust?
Right.
At my age, I only have, two eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, please tell me what I should do, and I will do it.
Right.
And he says, in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
I have to do what is best for her. There is no choice in my life, he said.
Right.
As I listened to that interview,
Mm-hmm.
I realized I'm doing all these personal transformation workshops for people.
Mm-hmm.
Big people, 30, 40 people show up every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really taking them a deep dive
Mm-hmm.
by them to unlearn and challenge them.
Right.
I asked myself, when did I last challenge myself?
Mm.
And I thought at least 5, 10 years
Mm-hmm.
since I have last questioned myself and challenged myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized I am on autopilot doing all these programs.
Mm.
And it was like I'm trying to transform, or let me put it more appropriately, I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to give them an opportunity to transform themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't transformed myself, or I haven't been in that context for more than 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am on autopilot and I'm expecting everybody to break out of their autopilot. How fair is it?
Right.
That instant, it
Mm-hmm.
was, I just saw that video around 10:15. By
Mm-hmm.
10:30, I sent out all my resignation letters to my executive coaching,
Mm-hmm.
my teaching ISB, my
Mm.
two other consulting contacts. By 11 o'clock, I decided I'm going to go spend a couple of years into introspection and
Wow.
dig deep into myself. So that connected with my purpose because at some level, I want to help discover and help other people discover
Mm-hmm.
and live their real purpose.
Right.
But to create that chain reaction of positive impact,
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep reinventing and I have to keep aligning myself
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm living my purpose or not. If
Right.
I'm not doing, then uh, you know it is whatever I'm doing is not authentic. I'm
Right.
being forced. So that was a moment I felt I was really aligned with my purpose. And so I made significant changes. And after that, I never went back to work.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So introspection is the word which I picked on in your that small snippet story.
Mhm.
So you looking at yourself and understanding your own purpose and aligning your thought process with your purpose really made you make that big change. It's a big change, right? Like
Mhm.
resigning from whatever you're doing and going off for so many years away from your active coaching life.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, because when I did that, I
Hmm.
had no idea. I was 62
Mm.
and I had no idea whether I have enough money to retire.
Right.
I had no idea whether I can actually survive by what I have.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no two ways about it. And yeah, you're right. I realize if I'm not aligned with what I'm saying and what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm living completely misaligned with what I teach other people.
Right.
And that was not acceptable to me.
Wow. So here you're directly saying that your purpose should connect with your happiness and your sense of self fulfillment, right?
Yes, self
Yeah.
fulfillment, meaning in my day to day life. Yeah. And it is connected with my what gives a sense of self worth and happiness and alignment with myself, deeper self is purpose.
Very nice. So like I have another question. Like if someone might feel like they're overwhelmed or they
Yeah.
feel directionless. So how do you guide them, or help them to discover their purpose or find some clarity in their thought process?
Okay. If I'm helping somebody, first I will ask people to
Mm-hmm.
take time for introspection
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't pause and reflect,
Mm-hmm.
it is like trying to change the tires while
Mm-hmm.
you are still driving. It's not possible to change tires for your car while you're driving. Stop
Right.
and ask you, like, what brings me joy?
Mm-hmm.
What am I naturally good at?
Right.
And what in the world do I really care about?
Right.
That's the first question.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
introspection,
Mm-hmm.
pausing, and reflecting.
Right.
Then there are about 4 or 5 steps I suggest to them.
Mm-hmm.
Then I ask, do you know what you are really good at? What
Right.
are your core strengths and unique talents?
Mm-hmm.
And how those unique talents and core strengths
Mm-hmm.
can serve other people?
Mm-hmm.
The third question I'll ask them is, you know, uh, the purpose many times I tell them
Mm-hmm.
that reveals itself through engagement, not just through reflection. Reflection is the first step.
Right.
But when you are engaged with other people,
Mm-hmm.
when experimenting, and when you are taking action, not just sitting and thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and trying out new experiences
Mm-hmm.
to test your alignment is
Right.
the best way in which you know whether you are moving in the right direction or wrong direction.
Mhm.
Then fourth step would be
Mhm.
to recognize whenever you take new actions and whenever you experiment something that you have not experimented,
Mhm.
you will have a lot of challenges.
Right.
You will have failures. You will have adversity.
Mhm.
But remember that actually the failure is the one that teaches you a lot more than
Mhm.
success.
Right.
And adversity can truly sharpen your understanding of
Mhm.
what really matters and
Mhm.
what doesn't.
Right.
Okay. And
Mhm.
the fifth step would be to seek guidance,
Mhm.
because like I remember an experience when my mentor at one time, Dr.
Mhm.
Ruben Feuerstein, who
Mhm.
was very in the area of mediated learning,
Mhm.
he was telling me, I mean, he took me to National Gallery, Smithsonian Art Museum in
Mhm.
Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
And, it took like taking a train from New York, going to Washington, D.C., taking a taxi and going there. And then
Mhm.
he asked me to look at a Van Gogh picture.
Mm.
And what do you see in that? I said, look, I'm not an artist. I don't know the difference. He said, I
Mhm.
don't care if you're an artist or not. Just look at it and tell me, what do you see?
Mm.
And then he asked me to change my position
Mm.
from being in front of the artwork. He said, go to the right, go to the
Right.
left, go
Mhm.
nearby.
Mhm.
And then he asked me to go to, some other artist,
Mhm.
Matisse or Picasso or
Mhm.
Renoir, or go to some of them
Mhm.
and then see what is different, what
Right.
is unique.
Mhm.
And as I began to just make up whatever was coming to me as
Mhm.
different,
Mhm.
he said, just be simple, be straight. And he coached me. And
Mm.
then, later, within about half an hour,
Mhm.
I found out that he and his wife were on the board of Smithsonian,
Mhm.
and the curator of the art museum came running when he heard Ruben was
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And Ruben looks at him and smiles and says, okay, do your test.
Mm.
The curator, makes a big face at him and says, okay, I'm going to ask you some questions about art appreciation.
Mm.
He said, please, what about art appreciation?
Mhm.
He said, I understand that, but you have spent half an hour with Ruven and Bertha in museum. Just respond to whatever I have from your gut.
Mhm.
What was amazing was I actually learned some distinctions about art
Mhm.
that I never even knew at all. I have grown up with artist friends and artist relatives,
Mhm.
but what questions Ruven asked me
Mhm.
and what he pointed me to look at.
Mhm.
If I were to look at the same art for 100 years, I wouldn't have picked it up.
Right.
So, extremely important to find a mentor or a guide
Mhm.
to see things that you have not seen and to listen to things that you have not heard
Right.
and help you to point out so that
Mhm.
you clarify your path. Seeking guidance from a coach or a mentor or a adult who cares about you
Mhm.
becomes extraordinarily important.
Mhm.
And of course, the last step would be you have
Mhm.
to revisit
Mhm.
and refine, because purpose evolves as you grow.
Mhm.
And when you keep reassessing
Mhm.
yourself so that you have alignment, just like I did in
Mhm.
2018, then you continually stay connected with your purpose. And that's what I remember. I think Carl Rogers, when I
Mhm.
was Saybrook University,
Mhm.
humanistic psychology university. So Carl Rogers' concepts were very important. He
Mhm.
used to talk about what is called a fully functioning person,
Mhm.
where authenticity and growth are central to fulfillment.
Mhm.
That's what, for me, purpose leads to. It leads to, you know, actions align with the higher principles
Mm-hmm.
and come to self transcendence. Of course, in spiritual terms, we call it moksha,
Mm-hmm.
liberation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are the
Yes.
6 steps I would say are very, very good things. And if you want, I can repeat them. First, pause and reflect,
Mm-hmm.
identify your strengths,
Mm-hmm.
experiment
Mm-hmm.
and engage and take action,
Mm-hmm.
embrace challenges because adversity can sharpen your understanding,
Mm-hmm.
seek guidance from
Mm-hmm.
mentors
Mm-hmm.
and guide. Finally,
Mm-hmm.
revisit, refine because purpose evolves, even though sometimes you may not think that you are evolving.
Right. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Dr. Kaipa, on this. And I personally had an experience like 4 years back.
Uh-huh.
During COVID times. I was lucky enough to find a mentor for in
Mhm.
like spiritual guidance in terms of learning our scriptures,
Mm.
like via chanting. There is they say you have to learn this scriptural chanting through a guru who is experienced, who has learned from somebody else, right? So I started learning that, and find immense alignment in terms of self reflection,
Mm.
and I find like peace, I find like happiness, joy, being in that moment, all the good things that mantra meditation offers. So over 4 years I have learned many scriptures from my teacher and guide, so I can totally understand what you're saying. So we have to challenge ourselves, and we have to pause and reflect, definitely. And also, like, thinking out of the box is very important, right?
You're right.
Yes, yes. For youngsters and also adults who are seeking to find their purpose and that alignment with their self, I think
Mm.
finding good mentors and be prepared, open up their mind to learn new information is crucial.
Exactly.
Right.
Well
Yeah.
said.
Yes. Yes. So anything else that you would want to add on this topic?
Yeah, you
Yes.
know, uh, this changes as we move through different stages of life.
Mm-hmm.
And, it evolves, as I said a little while ago.
Right.
And so sometimes to recognize the purpose might center on learning and building skills at the
Mm-hmm.
early.
Mm-hmm.
In the midlife, it is about sometimes contributing to family, society, and work.
Mm-hmm.
Later, it may shift towards spiritual growth or liberation,
Mm-hmm.
natural evolutions of purpose. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important to recognize
Mm-hmm.
that when we are reflecting
Mm-hmm.
on our, when we make self reflection and openness as a process that we regularly
Mm-hmm.
engage, then fulfillment becomes something that we don't look at end of life, but it becomes like, I can sleep peacefully because I feel like today I'm good, I did good job. So
Mm-hmm.
purpose is not a rigid destination to go towards,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a fluid journey. I call it a north star, you know
Wow. Mm-hmm.
something that guides you.
Mm-hmm.
When you are mug, it says you have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel depressed, it
Mm-hmm.
inspires. And sometimes it challenges you.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important to recognize some of these patterns of uh,
Wow. Yeah.
purpose.
I like this concept, the fluid journey and a north star.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a beacon helping you find your path, right? So yeah. So and one question I would like to ask you is like, is it selfish? Like, if, say, for example, if when we are with the family, bringing up kids, and with close associates, if I am searching for my own purpose and focused on my own purpose, would that consider a person to be as a selfish person?
I would not say being selfish,
Right.
but maybe you are looking at purpose in a very narrower definition.
Right.
See, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
important to recognize
Mm-hmm.
you, your world, that might
Mm-hmm.
be family, that might be your work, that might be your society,
Mm-hmm.
your spirituality. These three
Mm-hmm.
are sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you find your purpose may actually require you to work through your relationship and your difficulties and your challenges and your responsibilities to
Mm-hmm.
your family.
Right.
So to think that I have my own relationship with my spirit and with my purpose,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to let go of my family and I'm going to do it because I feel like a selfish person.
Mm-hmm.
That may be a misunderstanding of how some of the, even philosophical documents, whether from India or from the psychological documents in the West,
Mm-hmm.
are saying
Mm-hmm.
it is about being connected with life.
Right.
And life means family, life means work, life means society, life means yourself.
Right.
And you are there because there is a purpose for you to serve in that family.
Right.
So, purpose is not necessarily going to be fulfilled away from what you are doing
Mm-hmm.
because there will be some resonance. That's why you are in that family. Otherwise, you won't be.
Right.
So,
Right. Yes.
for resonance, as I said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and wherever there is a dissonance, you might want to examine, but you need to look for resonance with others rather than resonance by yourself.
Right. Okay. Yes. So obviously, like, when someone finds their purpose, they're going to be happy, and that is going to resonate through their other parts of life. So it's all a win-win situation, right? Like,
It is,
yes. Yes. So you align your with your purpose, and then you align well with everybody in around you.
yeah, that's
Yes.
why I said you start with ikigai first.
Okay. Right.
That will give you, it's a practical tool for aligning joy and strengths and societal needs.
Right.
Then shift from the balance that you have towards
Mm-hmm.
the swadharma
Mm-hmm.
is deeper and more philosophical exploration of purpose.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself, what is my unique duty, unique responsibility, or unique contribution in this life, regardless of external,
Mm-hmm.
and then reflect on your dharma.
Mm-hmm.
Align purpose with responsibilities to family and community and the world. And
Mm-hmm.
in this, you'll have to embrace your spiritual growth because the purpose evolves as your spirit evolves. Because ultimately, Swadharma, as we called it aligns your inner truth with
Mm-hmm.
the order, you know. And
Right.
when I'm out, seek guidance, both
Exactly.
self reflection for you to get clarity and mentorship to refine your stuff. But all of this requires without attachment to your own ego or what is in it for me. Because purpose is not about what is in it for you, but what you can do in the world to fulfill your duty. Because it elevates purpose from fulfillment to selfless service only when you recognize a pencil's purpose is not for, like, or a tree's purpose is not about tree,
Mm-hmm.
you know, giving fruit. in that process of people enjoying the fruit, its seeds go get planted in different parts of the world.
Wow. Yeah. So well said. Yeah. Again, I think I I think we'll end here on this topic, Dr. Kaipa. I know you have more information to share. We'll come back with many other podcasts. So for everybody here, I think listening to Dr. Kaipa, understanding your own ikigai, developing your strengths and unique contributions. I wish that you will find your North Star. So, thank you again, Dr. Kaipa, for your knowledge and agreeing to share the knowledge with us on this podcast.
My pleasure, Padmaja.
Yeah, see you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I hang up?
Yeah, yeah, we can hang up, sir. I'll call you back on your phone.